Hello, 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 everybody. Welcome to another great public speaking video. I gotta turn my lights on before I start recording. I feel ready to do these, but then never really ready. Hello, greetings from the lovely campus of St. John's University, Jamaica, Queens, New York City. Welcome, welcome, welcome. This video is lecture number 2 for the fall 2023 if you're in the online class. And I just recently picked up a hybrid public speaking class. That's right, hybrid public speaking class. The hybrid public speaking class, they're brand new. I just saw them on Tuesday this week, so welcome to you. These videos are going to be for everybody who's in a course that's mostly online, or maybe partially online, or online in some capacity, I guess. I don't know. That's what I would say. But also, if you're just watching this from the internet, felicitations, salutations, happy greetings. I don't know why you'd be watching this if you're not in my class, but I guess it's possible. I think about YouTube and its publicity. Maybe you're watching this because you're interested in it. Just taking a look at, I was talking on Discord today, and, in Discord, we were talking about controversies. I was asking about controversies and things because I think that controversies abound. They're everywhere. And one of the things that makes us maybe want to speak is to get involved in controversies. We want to tell people why they're wrong, or we want to tell people what they should be doing, or why they're right, or why they should change how they think or feel about something. And that's one of the primary motivations for giving a speech. So anyway, if you're on Discord, chime in in our class channel over here, Public Speaking Online, or if you're in the hybrid class, Public Speaking Hybrid, on Discord. The link to join Discord is available in Canvas. Today we're going to talk about some of these readings, Stasis Theory and Speech Organization Guide, which are available here in the readings section. I'm going to talk about Stasis Theory first, and the PowerPoint that I'm going to use for this presentation will be made available on Canvas after this lecture is done recording. I record all these live, by the way. I hope you like that. Do you want them more edited, or do you like them live? I kind of like them live, but let's do it live. Remember that old meme? I don't know if you do or not. But anyway, the reason you might want to give a speech is because you want to get involved in something. Get involved in a controversy, tell people what's what. And so that's what we're going to talk about today. And we're going to talk about the very first reading, which is Stasis Theory. Now, Stasis Theory, this comes from the old Greek word stasis. Stasis is the word for, let's see, these hotkeys work? Yeah, kind of. I don't really like that one. I think I might have to go back and forth manually. Stasis means a point of immovability where people are stuck. So stasis, if you think about science fiction, stasis is always like being kept in a frozen state of suspended animation for a deep trip into outer space. And that is, that's typically what we think of when we think about it. We also have this idea of a controversy being unsolvable. So what's the point of what's the part that neither side will concede on? That's another way to think about stasis as well. So like I said, we usually enter speech because we want to change an attitude, not an opinion, not a belief, but an attitude. This is a much more complex way to think about speech than maybe what you're thinking. Because if we want to change an attitude, what we need to do is change the thinking and the feeling and the behavior, a whole relation of stuff. Or maybe it's up to them to change their behavior and feeling and thinking and belief about something. Maybe that's what we want to do, instead of just saying, well, you're wrong, or this is the truth. Because that doesn't really help people say, oh, well, now that my attitude's different, I can see a pathway forward for myself. I can see a way that I should change my relationship to the world here. And issues and beliefs are very complex. The biggest problem I get from people in this class is when they're like, well, what do I talk about? I don't really know how to enter into a conversation about storytelling or rights or any of the things that we talk about in the books that we're going to be reading. I don't know how to insert myself in that conversation. Well, that's what this is for today. This is what this is about. Stasis theory helps with this quite a bit. It's how we identify what people disagree with in an issue. Now, in Discord, we're talking about how there's a controversy about Starfield allowing players to pick their pronouns. I don't know if it's really a controversy or if it's just one dude's opinion, one dude who's probably not maybe the best source on how the gaming community feels about it or about how people feel about it. But the pronouns are kind of a controversial issue, and people get very upset about it, and people argue about it. So it might be something that we would take on and talk about, and maybe use the game of Starfield as an example of that. But it's definitely something that we might want to talk about because we might feel that there's some kind of justice or injustice being done. But it's how we identify what the main issue is. Saying my topic is about pronouns, that's not the main issue. Or my topic is abortion, not the main issue. My topic is rights, whatever it is you want to talk about. That's not the main issue. The issue is what's your angle on it that's going to help people see that they need to change their attitude about it. That's the big difference. That's the big difference between saying my topic and then how I'm going to get in there. Okay, so there are 4 things that Stasis consists of, 4 places to look. Think of these as places to look for where you're going to work yourself into speech. Conjecture, definition, quality, and policy. Let's go over each one. Conjecture is all things that are known or should be known. This would be facts, information, events, occurrences, phenomena, things that have happened. And there are things that should be known. Now, it might be controversial at all, whether something has happened or not, or whether this thing is actually a concern or not. And that would be a speech where you would enter the speech based on what has occurred. And those things would be what you want to talk about the most and say, well, you don't know this, or here's some information from this or that expert, or this or that person who's researched it and knows. And those would be the things that are brought to bear in terms of that. That might be where the controversy is that people might not agree on what exists and what's happened. So that would be a place where you can insert yourself and say, yeah, this has actually happened. A lot of people have suffered from this. Definition is the explanation of what we're talking about. Anytime people say, well, what it really means is, or this is just a matter of, or it's simply a case of, you're talking about definition. Definition is the stasis of what is this really? So is this a crime or is it a mistake? Is this justice or revenge? Is this someone getting what they deserve or is it overkill? These are all definitions, and these are all places you could insert yourself into a speech and make a pretty powerful claim, I'd say. So this is just thesis writing. A lot of the things that I'm going to talk about in terms of stasis theory, you might think of them as ways to come up with a thesis that's better than my topic is. And in this class, I want you to go much further than my topic is. You want to distill what you're talking about down to what it is specifically that you want our attitude to change about. So it's a big change in attitude to say, a definitional stasis, the pronouns, using someone's preferred pronouns is a human right issue. That's a pretty powerful statement, and that puts you uniquely interesting and worth listening to, even by people who, once they hear that, are like, oh no, I disagree, this is silly. Those people are who you want listening to you, but since you've cut through with that kind of intensity, they're going to listen to you because maybe they want to prove you wrong, maybe they want to argue against you. Who cares what their motives are? At least they're listening, and they can see why you might think that an attitude adjustment is necessary. Next one, quality. The degree of intensity, harm, good, or bad of something. How bad is it? How expensive is it? Is it that much more expensive than something else? Is it actually the cheapest thing ever? Is it the fastest thing ever? Is it the best thing ever? Is it going to hurt millions of people? Is it more harmful than any other illness or any other policy or any other traffic rule, whatever it might be? Quality is where you insert yourself in terms of degree. So when you think about it, we have 3 now. We have conjecture, definition, quality. You want to look at the case that you're saying. You say, okay, people agree on what's happened or what's happening. People agree on the definition. but they don't agree on how bad or good it is. Or maybe that's where I'm going to assert myself and say your attitude about the intensity or how bad or good this is needs to change. It's actually much worse than you think. And that this helps you kind of brainstorm to find those kind of topics. Finally, policy. What is it that we should do or stop doing? And a lot of times the controversy is not about, all these things are agreed upon. We know what it is. We have the phenomena in mind and the events in mind. We know how to define it. And we know it's extremely harmful. Okay, how do we fix it? And then a lot of people will debate and disagree about that quite a bit. So you can insert yourself in policy and say, well, policy is the way that I'm going to insert myself in this and say, this is the plan that we should really, really do. Okay, let's look at an example. Social media, great example. We all love social media. How often do you check social media every day? I'm very curious. Leave some comments in Discord about your feelings about social media and about this talk. Actually, leave your comments about all the talks in social media, in Discord about the social media and this talk about social media and all the stuff I do on here. I'd love to hear your thoughts, and if you need anything, I'll make a video for it. Okay. What does social media do? Here are a bunch of questions. I won't read them all to you, but I will talk while you read them. And the one thing you might want to think about that's in common with all these is that you could look up these questions and do research on them and find examples, stories of people, testimony from doctors and psychologists, testimony from different people in the world who have shared something that could be used as support to answer these questions, yes or no. These questions are conjecture questions. They are questions about phenomena, events, things happening in the world. Conjecture is the point where you want to say, is there a controversy here? Is there evidence? That's the point where you want to say, is there evidence? Have things happened? And what's happening? And is there agreement on what's happening? So I bet you could find interesting research on all these questions. And this might be what you want to sort the speech around, is maybe a thesis of social media is quite harmful to the body. It's quite harmful to the mind. And then just talk about all these different experiences. Say social media has lots of experiences and lots of things that have happened with it that have been harmful to people. So that's one way in. This is conjecture. Okay, this is the conjecture point. What is social media? Now, this is definition. Look at how different these are, and each one of these could be a thesis for a speech. Each one of them could be. I really like the idea of social media as a big party. That's kind of a funny one. I like that one. Social media is fake. That could be interesting. But all of these, as you read them, you start to think of ways that you could create that speech. If you start to think creatively about, like, what could I say that would make that true? What could I say that would be persuasive in terms of that point? Then I think you're really onto something. I think you've really got something going on there. So think about it. Definition, conjecture. Now let's look at the difference. These are all things that can be proven through external sources. You do research, you find a news media article or a professional, an expert saying something about it. Great. That's conjecture. That is debate about whether things happened or not, or how frequently does it happen, or does it happen at all. I think it's kind of freaky how the green screen just blanks out my microphone arm unless I do this. So it makes me look like I'm like super powerful. I'll be like, in my hand, I have 2 black bars. Kind of cool. Well, I don't know. I think it's kind of cool, but you might think, God, what a loser. Get back to the talk. Okay. I will. Definition, these are things that are broader than that. These can't be verified by facts. These can't be verified by information. They can be supported by reasons and by evidence, but they can't be verified in the same way of, like, did this actually happen? You could say, look, because all these things exist, and because of these reasons and ways of thinking about it, you should agree with me that this is the best way to understand social media. This is the definition of it. This is what it is. And in courts of law, definitional stasis is much easier because you have the statutes, you have the laws. And the laws tell you what manslaughter is as opposed to murder, what negligence is, what libel is. It's all very clearly defined. Lawyers, unlike the rest of us, have a very easy job because everything is very clearly defined, and so they just take the evidence they have from depositions in the court and stuff and just match it up to the definition of the law, argue it in front of the judge and the jury, and off they go. It's very clear what it is. In daily argumentative life and in daily speech and rhetoric life, it's very unclear. How would I prove this to someone? Well, it really depends on the audience, doesn't it? It depends on who's listening to me and what their preconceptions are and what their preferences are. And if I'm very, very good at rhetoric, I would try to research that a bunch. But you can't possibly know every data point about your audience. So at some point, you kind of have to guess. And at some point, you also can use rhetoric to kind of magically constitute the audience as a certain type of attitude or person. And we'll talk about that a little later in the class. Okay, quality. How bad or good is it? Look at these statements. These are all great thesis statements too, I think. These are great examples of quality thesis statement if you want to insert yourself in the controversy as saying it's not as bad or as good as these other things. If you want to talk about degree, this is how you would do it. And you can use these as kind of templates for your speeches in the class about how to set it up. This is all of this lecture is setting up. How do I come up with a topic? This is the best way to do it, is these 4 different questions or things that you can look at. Because as you start to brainstorm and say, okay, what are the things I could say about quality? What are the things I could say about degree? You'll come up with all kinds of ideas. And you don't have to use all these. A lot of these are in contradiction to each other, aren't they? Yeah, so you don't want to use every single one of them. Instead, what you might want to do, do I have a laser pointer? Arrow options. Yeah, that's fine. Oh, man. Yeah, it used to be that you could do like a little laser pointer thing, but I don't know how to do that anymore. All right, so what should be done? This is policy. This is if you want to insert yourself in terms of actions that we should stop or do, and you can see the differences here. And this is a whole different kind of speech. Look at the difference between the kind of speech of like social media creators should be given tax breaks. Okay, how does that intervene in the controversy of social media? We can say creators are, this is a job and creators labor and social media is a serious thing. And you can make all kinds of arguments, but look how different it is from social media makes so much more money than other forms of digital media. This is much more factually based or evidence-based. And this one is much more based on the position and reasons that you could get the audience to accept in terms of whether or not this would be a good idea and why it would be a good idea. And all audiences are very selfish. They really are. They want to know what's in it for them. They want to know how it impacts them and why they should care. So that's going to have to be a part of it too. All right, so that's this part, which is the part about stasis. I hope that it was informative to you. I hope that it helps you. You can watch this video a number of times if you want to understand how to use it, and I will answer questions in Discord or on Canvas. I prefer Discord, as you know, but Canvas is okay too. It's your class. You can kind of do it how you want. I was going to talk about organizing the speech, but I see we're almost on 20 minutes here. So I think we're going to have to bow out on this one. This is the stasis lecture now. We're talking about what is stasis theory, that reading in the class. Please let me know what you thought, and let me know your comments, and I'll be happy to help you use stasis theory for whatever topic you want to talk about. The first speech is telling a story. You might not think stasis theory has anything to say about that, but it really does. What's the story about? Is the story about how to understand something? Is the story about what's better or worse than something? That's quality. Is the story about what's happening in the world? A bunch of stories and incidents have happened to people that people might not know about but should. That's conjecture. A story about what to do, what policy is best. That's policy, right? So stasis can help with all these things. It helps with every aspect of rhetoric. All right. Thank you very much for watching this video, and let me know if I can help you with other things in the future, in the class. I'm always available. You can email me or talk to me in Discord. All right. See you in the next video, which will be about organization.